It's big dog season, and you can't stay still because you want it. Talk that talk, George. You still scraping your plate because you're hungry. Talk that talk.
At this point. In 2021, Kerr County was sent over $10 million in federal funds that they could have allocated towards upgrading the flood warning system. At first, they didn't want to accept it because they didn't trust the Biden admin. But did they return these funds? No, because they didn't want the funds to possibly go towards a blue state instead. I guess it is a little lucky that they ended up holding on to the funds just so a blue state couldn't get at them, because they did eventually end up spending them. Obviously not on the flood warning system, though. Funds were part of the American Rescue Plan Act. ARPA sent billions of dollars across the nation to help with economic recovery, intended to be spent on government services, infrastructure, etc. Yes, these funds could have been used for a flood warning system. I've gone through years worth of Kerr County Commissioner Court transcripts. That's basically their town hall or city council equivalent. The people of Kerr County didn't want to accept the funds, mainly because they mistrusted the administration. This guy called it the most criminal, treasonous communist government ever to hold the White House. And he got applauded, by the way. They said that the funds were just their taxpayer money being returned to them with strings attached. No mention, of course, that it's the evil blue states that largely fund areas like Kerr County with their taxes. This person, ironically, went through Hurricane Harvey. They said, "We were there all by ourselves like an island in the middle of water. Since we left, they have had so many floods and catastrophes, and who's at the helm? Well, it's a socialist Marxist regime." Then they accused the admin of bringing people over the border to win things, and of course describe themselves as a native Texan, almost 40% Native American, the rest Spanish. FEMA even came up a few times, don't even worry about it. Supposedly, it's a completely lawless entity that can arrest people without a warrant, hold them without due process in camps, and answers to absolutely no one because it was created by executive orders. I know. Oh, for some reason, they also claim that it can suspend the Constitution. It was the commissioner judge, the top dog, who said that they would not be returning the money just so that they could deny it to states like New Jersey, New York, and California. No, the flood warning system never got upgraded, but the good news is the sheriff's department ended up with almost all of the over $10 million. So, the largest amount spent was around $7 million on upgrading the communication system for the sheriff's department and the fire department. Despite the fact that the original estimate was $3 to $5 million and the original bid was a little over $5 million. While the bid didn't include every little detail, an extra $2 million seems steep. Of course, Motorola's bid was the only qualified bid. The next biggest chunk was a little over $1 million, which went towards emergency responder pay. Basically, every single member of the sheriff's department received a 10% pay increase. Another $650,000 went towards assorted staffing needs, which included more sheriff department staff. And lastly, another $100,000 to a special temporary position for a person overseeing the Motorola project, one that ballooned by $2 million, totaling almost $9 million, but not a cent towards upgrading the flood warning system. But hey, at least a blue state didn't get it. I don't know if I'm more angry at or for Kerr County at this point.
Good morning. Today is Friday, July 11th. The year is 2025. I found that video on Instagram, so I had to verify. Was this correct? Did Kerr County, where there's over 250 people are possibly dead, they're still missing close to 200 people, 160 or 170 people are missing. They have 125 people dead already. Did they turn down Kerr County in Texas? Did they turn down $10 million that the Biden administration provided that could have built a siren system to prevent, to help the residents who lived in that county that know that the river was flooding and at any moment could drown them all? Did they really turn down $10 million like that woman says in that video? Oh yeah, they did. I found the article. The article is actually dated July 10, 2025. And the article goes into great detail about how conservative Kerr County is out there. And Kerr County, some people have referred to as a sundown county, where blacks have a certain time you need to get the hell up out of there before the sun goes down. So in Kerr County, in 2021, now remember they said they needed the money to build the siren system, which is only about $1 million, so to alert them that the river was flooding and they would drown like a bunch of rats out there. In 2021, they got a political windfall from the Biden administration. Would have gave the county $10.2 million. They did get the money. The county received $10.10 million from the American Rescue Plan, which Congress passed the same year to support local governments impacted by the pandemic. So they got $10 million. And you would all like to know what the motherfuckers decided to do with the $10 million? Kerr County did not opt for the ARPA to fund flood warning projects, despite commissioners discussing projects nearly 24 times. 24 times they needed this money. They needed money to help build a siren system to alert people that the river was flooding. They kept trying to get the money in various ways. President Biden, a Democrat, sent them $10 million. They didn't want that, though. $10 million falls in your lap, but because it comes from a Democratic president administration, y'all don't want it. A survey sent to residents about the money Biden had sent them, ARPA money, which was called the American Rescue Plan, showed that 40% of the 180 respondents wanted to reject the $10 million bonus altogether, a windfall. They went and told in front of the city council or the county commissioners, I'm here to ask this court today to send this money back to the Biden administration, which I consider the most criminal, treasonous communist government ever to hold the White House. One resident told commissioners in April 2022, this was just 3 years ago, about the same time I bought this house. Fearing strings were going to be attached to the money. What strings? The money from federal government money to be used for improvements around the city that they could have used. So, we don't want to be bought by the federal government. Thank you very much, another resident told commissioners. We like the federal government to stay out of Kerr County and their money. Now, the interesting part is the $10 million, they didn't return it. They kept it. They kept it in the county. It stayed in the county. They didn't return it. But the money ended up being used. When all was said and done, the county approved $7 million in ARPA dollars on public safety radio communications for the sheriff's department and the county fire services to meet community needs for the next 10 years, although early estimates put that contract at $5 million. Another $1 million went to sheriff's employees in the form of stipends and raises, and just over $600,000 went towards additional county positions. A Nanuka walking path was created with the ARPA money right along the river. While much has been made of the ARPA spending, it's not clear if residents or the commissioners understood that at the time they could have applied the funds to the warning system. It was $10 million you could use it for whatever you want. Because it came from Biden. See, this is why I've never understood Republicans and reserve conservatives. They're probably the most dangerous people around. They created them turning down that money and not using that money to build a siren system. I've seen other articles in the Wall Street Journal where they built that built cabins, dormitories where people slept in close to the river in low-lying areas, even though they could have built them in a much higher area. That would have took them out of the flood zone and saved people's lives. You know, that's a Christian group of people that God gonna take care of us. Y'all can have them ignorant Republicans, and I've never been a fan of Texas. So I tend to stay away from there. But Texas has got to be the worst when it comes to ignorance. That county largely went for Trump on several different occasions. They had the money to build a siren system, which would have alerted them idiots that the river was flooding and they needed to run for safety. And it just wasn't, they didn't use it right. They didn't use it. We don't want to use it. We don't want the money. But they didn't return it. They kept it. Common sense should have said we need to build a siren system. We got this crazy river out here that at any minute could raise, that river in 30 minutes rose 30 feet. my house, that water would have roared over the top of this house. People died in their houses out there because the water was so high they couldn't get out. A racist county in a racist town. Black folks, not, you know, there ain't no black folks out there that showed up in none of them pictures saying they was drowned out there like rats. And, you know, any old way, y'all make your own decisions up. This is why I've never understood why anybody black would vote along with these Republicans and the hateful rhetoric they have. They don't even want black people out there. It was a sundown town. If they caught you out there, no telling what would happen to your ass in Kerr County. But that river had something for their asses, didn't it? That river leaped up out of that water and had a surprise for their fucking asses. Yeah, it did. Yes, it did. So, should we have sympathy? Of course we have sympathy and empathy for these idiots. They were stupid. They let politics get in the way of doing something that could have saved their lives. A siren system that cost $1 million. Let's just say they spent $1.5 or $2 million, whatever. They had $10.2 million from the Biden administration. They didn't want it. The police department ended up using it. But nobody thought we need to get these sirens blaring because we can die in our homes that we built too close to this river. That we could drown out here on these streets and roads in low areas. That we could, if we don't know, because in the middle of the night, nobody can see water. There's a creek behind my house here, y'all. Every time it rains, and it pours down rain, I always go look on my deck just to see the creek, to see what it's doing. Boy, that water jump up so high, I'm like, damn. At one point, I had planned to put a little patio furniture down there by the creek so I could go down and enjoy it. I was put some stones down and do all that shit. Child, that creek would have washed all that shit away. I'm so glad I didn't do that project I was going to do. I took the little Mexicans down there. We was going to build some stone. They going to build a patio. All that shit would have got washed away. Gone. Little patio furniture, little tiki light candles. I was going to put out there a little fire pit and everything so we can sit out there and roast marshmallows. All that shit would have been down 10 miles down the creek. And the creek's a little small creek. It's small, you know, like you go down in there, you hear the water, and it sounds so cute and pretty. But once that water starts roaring through there after the rain, you better run for your damn life. I do not take them dogs down there, especially after when it's raining, because I ain't going down there when it's raining any damn way, because that water just, it jumps up so high, it's like, okay, where does water come from? The last time it swept through here, it wiped all my little mulch out. I have pine trees here, so we were pushing all the pine out against the trees in the back near the creek just to make it look pretty. Well, that shit, it ripped all that pine up out of there. Matter of fact, it moved dirt. I'm surprised the trees are still standing. And this was just a few weeks ago. And that's right behind my house. So I always go look and see just what that creek will do. And I see that it could be dangerous. And if you walking down there by that creek, a little path down there by the creek, I was make a little pathway and shit. You down there walking, of course, you wouldn't be walking in the rain any damn way. Because once it start pouring down raining, you know to run indoors. One would think. But I did see something, and I'm gonna try to find that news article. It was a black woman. Her family and them, they went out there somewhere alone. They went in Kerr County, but they were somewhere else. And they were out there on those rafts, getting on the ocean in the big round, the round rafts. Everybody get on them and stuff, but I don't do, honey, because it's too damn dangerous. So they was on them damn rafts, white water rafting out there in the water. They think black folks don't do white, or niggas don't do that now. But she noticed something. It was raining, pouring down rain, and she said, "Ooh, this water getting too high. We better get the fuck up out of here." They were going to stay an extra day, and they said, "Nah, it's time to exit stage right." As they were leaving to go return their rafts and, get in their little RV and get the fuck on, more people were coming, because this was July 4th, or the 3rd, or the 4th, whatever it was. She said, "Oh, no, we can fuck about it. Something ain't right, but this is water coming up too high. It's starting to rise." And she said, as they were leaving, they dropped up the raft. The woman said, they dropped the little rafts off, the inner tubes. They dropped those things off. The people said, "We're thinking about evacuating." And she was like, "You're thinking about evacuating?" And her husband said, "Let's hit it." They got in the RV and got on down the road. Just as they got outside, out through the city, and they were at the gas station gassing up that RV, the sirens went off. The sirens went off saying, get the fuck up out of here. This whole shit there, gassed up and got the fuck on. You niggas shouldn't have been there in and there, but I'm going to find that article, but it should have never been. Y'all got better white raft if you want to. The white raft in your pool at home. That's what I'm planning on doing to get this pool in here. But anyway, I just thought that was very interesting. I found the article. I'm going to post a link. These white people turned down $10 million, of which $1 million, let's just say $1 million to $2 million could have been used to build a siren system that could have alerted their dumb asses that the river was now about to flood and kill their asses. Ain't that? Well, look at the irony of that all. Biden sent it to you, and y'all don't want it because he's a Democrat. Biden, we don't want Biden. And Trump ain't sending their ass shit. Trump ain't planning to send them motherfuckers shit. Nothing. Not a goddamn thing. Remember, he's canceling FEMA. He's taking FEMA out. He don't want FEMA to exist no more. For whatever reason, he made the decision. We don't need FEMA. Okay. Well, anyway, I just wanted to share that with y'all. I thought that was a very interesting article. And what that lady was saying. And I was just, so, it is accurate. She is 100% true. They turned that money down. I have the article, the proof. They turned it down. $10 million they could have been used to build a siren system that could have saved their dumb asses. They could have lived. Them kids could have lived. They would have known the water was jumping too high. The siren would have alerted and they could all ran for their lives. Instead, they was in bed asleep and didn't know shit until the water showed up at their front door in their houses. Until the water bust through their front door, bust through the walls. Like a tsunami. How stupid can you be being that close to the water? When I bought this house, I know this creek is down there. That's why I've been watching it since I moved in here to keep an eye on this creek. And when it pours down rain, y'all, you better not go near that creek. Because you're gonna get taken away like everything else. That creek moves so fast back here with that water get to roaring down there. I'm like, damn, it jumps up at least 6 feet high. And it moves fast. Of course, I'm in the house watching from a distance. I can give me some binoculars and see the white folks spraying. Oh shit, they out there whitewater rafting out there. Them crazy white folks out there in that creek. Oh, yeah, crazy ass motherfuckers. And I'm just kidding. I know black folks do go whitewater rafting. I'm not one of them black people though. If it's not at Whitewater Park or amusement park, which I need to be nice hot. You know what? I'm about to go do me some fun. I'm tired of this shit. I need to go do some fun. Anyway, today is Friday, June 11th. I'm about to go do me some fun. Today is hot out here. I need to be in Hawaii. I ain't got my pool yet. The motherfucker saying it's going to be 3 to 4 months before we can get a permit. I have to do another video about that. I'm tired now, guys. I just spent 15 minutes talking about these crazy white folks in Kerr County, Texas, who turned down $10.2 million and ended up drowning in their houses. Idiots. Anyway, I'm out of here. It's Friday, July 11th. The year is 2025, and I'll be back later. Let me make me some breakfast, give me some water. I'm sitting there drinking this hot-ass coffee. It's about 100 degrees out here. It's hot as hell out here. Delicious coffee. I'm out. I'll speak to y'all later. Bye.